Imagine stepping into a martial arts academy, where respect and discipline are supposed to be the foundation of everything. Now picture this. A black belt, full of pride, decides to have some fun by calling out the one man nobody ever takes seriously, the janitor. The room erupts in laughter, because how could a janitor possibly stand against a trained fighter? But what happened next silenced the entire academy. This wasn't just a spar. It became a moment that flipped arrogance into humility, shattered prejudice, and left everyone questioning what true greatness really looks like. Stay with me until the very end, because the lesson hidden in this story is something you'll never forget. The Martial Arts Academy had always been a place where discipline, tradition, and pride converged. Students trained tirelessly, dreaming of belts that marked their progress, white to black, each step a testament to years of effort. Within those polished floors, the black belts stood as untouchable symbols of excellence. But behind the academy's pristine reputation, unspoken hierarchies quietly lingered. The janitor, Marcus, was one of those invisible figures who moved in silence, mop in hand, often overlooked by the very students he made space for. It was after a weekend exhibition when Marcus was spotted leaning against his mop, watching intently as the black belts demonstrated their advanced sparring skills. His gaze wasn't casual, it was sharp, observant, almost as if he understood the language of movement better than most. A few chuckles rose among the younger students who noticed him staring. Soon after, one of the senior black belts, fueled by arrogance and the need to entertain his peers, suggested something unusual. Why not invite the janitor to spar? Just for fun, he said with a smirk. The academy buzzed with amusement. To most, it was a harmless spectacle, a joke to lighten the evening. Yet beneath the laughter, Marcus felt the weight of something deeper, a chance, perhaps, to reveal a side of himself no one had bothered to imagine. His heart tightened as whispers filled the air. This wasn't just an invitation to spar. It was a test, a challenge born not from respect, but from condescension. And Marcus knew this moment would define more than just a match. As the room filled with smirks and folded arms, Marcus quietly placed the mop aside. He wasn't a man of many words, nor was he one to seek attention. Yet the way he walked toward the mat carried a silent confidence, the kind that silences chatter before a punch is even thrown. Students shifted uncomfortably, realizing this janitor wasn't laughing along. Marcus had lived a life that no one in that room could have guessed. Long before the mop and bucket, there had been long nights of training in cramped garages, dusty backyards, and community gyms where discipline wasn't taught as a sport, but as survival. He had sparred against men larger, faster, and stronger, all while carrying the weight of being underestimated at every turn. Racism had taught him to fight battles both inside and outside the ring, shaping him into someone who didn't seek approval, only truth. He slipped off his faded work shoes and stepped barefoot onto the mat. The black belt across from him smirked, stretching theatrically, confident this would be nothing more than an amusing warm-up. The audience leaned in, ready for a laugh. But Marcus didn't so much as flinch. His eyes narrowed, focused, not on his opponent's reputation, but on his movement. The room, once filled with playful energy, suddenly shifted. For the first time, the black belt felt a strange unease. There was something about Marcus's presence that whispered, "This won't go the way you think." The instructor gave a nod, signaling the spar to begin. The black belt advanced with speed, snapping out sharp jabs meant to showcase superiority rather than harm. The crowd chuckled at first, expecting Marcus to stumble or cower. Instead, something extraordinary happened. Marcus didn't flinch. He flowed. His body moved with precision, slipping past strikes as though he had studied this very fighter for years. Each dodge carried the elegance of practiced rhythm, every sidestep perfectly timed. The laughter in the room softened, replaced by puzzled silence. Marcus wasn't attacking, he was reading. observing, calculating. The black belt, slightly irritated, increased his pace, his kicks sharper, his punches heavier. Yet the janitor's responses remained effortless. His feet glided across the mat, hands steady, eyes locked like a seasoned predator waiting for the right moment. Then came the first shock. With a single opening, Marcus countered. His strike was precise, not brutal, not mocking, just a clean, flawless technique that landed squarely, stunning his opponent. The room gasped. This wasn't luck. This was mastery. The black belt stumbled back, blinking in disbelief. And in that pause, everyone in the room saw it. The janitor wasn't playing their game. He was showing them a truth they had refused to see. What began as a spectacle had transformed into something else entirely. The students no longer smirked. Their eyes widened with every movement Marcus made. His calm control contrasted sharply with the black belt's growing frustration. The spar, once meant to humiliate, was turning into a lesson neither the challenger nor the audience expected. The black belt, determined to reclaim his dignity, unleashed a flurry of attacks. Yet Marcus's responses revealed not just skill, but wisdom. He wasn't fighting to prove he was stronger. He was teaching restraint, balance, and humility without uttering a word. Each block and counter demonstrated years of experience buried under the quiet disguise of a janitor's uniform. Whispers filled the sidelines. Some students began questioning what they were witnessing. Could it be possible that the man they had overlooked every day held a skill level beyond their best fighters? Was it possible that their respect, long reserved for belts and titles, had been misplaced all along? And then came a moment that froze the room. Marcus executed a flawless maneuver, one that required timing, precision, and years of mastery, bringing the black belt to a halt. He didn't hurt him, didn't humiliate him. He simply stopped him, leaving no room for doubt. The silence afterward felt heavier than any applause. For the first time, everyone realized the man they dismissed had always been more than they imagined. The academy, once filled with prideful chatter, now sat in stunned silence. The students who once mocked Marcus found themselves grappling with a truth they could no longer ignore. Respect, the very foundation of martial arts, had been misplaced. They had been blind, dismissing a man not for his lack of ability, but for the color of his skin and the uniform he wore. Marcus stepped back, bowing slightly, as if reminding everyone this wasn't about victory, it was about honor. His humility only deepened the impact. The black belt, panting and shaken, stood frozen in place. For all his years of training, he had never felt so thoroughly outmatched, not by power, but by grace. What stunned the room wasn't just Marcus's skill. It was the realization that their bias had blinded them to greatness that had stood before them all along. Every mop stroke, every quiet evening of janitorial work had hidden a man whose discipline rivaled their best. The belts around their waists suddenly felt less like achievements and more like symbols of a shallow understanding. Slowly, a new feeling spread across the academy. Not mockery, not laughter, but awe. And in that awe grew a seed of humility, one that would forever change the way they saw not just Marcus, but the very essence of respect itself. As Marcus left the mat, whispers gave way to reflection. Students began piecing together the deeper lesson. The true spirit of martial arts wasn't about titles or appearances. It was about respect, perseverance, and the silent strength carried in every movement. For years, Marcus had been invisible to them. They had looked past him, reducing him to a uniform and a job title, never considering the depth of his story. But in a matter of minutes, he had dismantled their assumptions. Without anger, without arrogance, he had shown them that greatness often hides where you least expect it. The instructor himself, once standing silently at the edge, now stepped forward, visibly moved. Though no words were spoken, his nod toward Marcus carried the weight of acknowledgement. It was a rare moment of humility, one where even the highest ranks recognized the value of a man who had never sought recognition. The students left that night carrying more than just the memory of an unbelievable spar. They carried a new awareness. That judgment based on appearance blinds you to truth, and that respect must extend to everyone, regardless of status, color, or role. The story of that spar would echo far beyond the academy's walls. Students shared it with friends, parents, and peers, each retelling tinged with disbelief and respect. What had begun as a mockery had transformed into a defining moment that reshaped their understanding of humility and equality. Marcus returned to his duties quietly, never boasting of what happened. Yet the way people looked at him changed. No longer invisible, no longer dismissed. He was seen. And in being seen, he taught them more than any belt, trophy, or lesson could have offered. The black belt, humbled, approached Marcus days later with a newfound respect, forever changed by the encounter. And for the students, that night became a reminder etched in memory, that the worth of a person cannot be measured by appearances, titles, or preconceived notions. In the end, the spar wasn't just about martial arts. It was about justice, dignity, and the courage to carry greatness silently, even when the world refuses to acknowledge it. And as the academy carried on, one unshakable question lingered in every heart. How many more invisible people have we overlooked, never realizing they hold the very greatness we seek?